Howdy! Here we have the highlights of the rainy league race in Singapore that I recently did with IFRL. I got a really good start, making up a few positions but still staying careful. Wardy in the Alfa Romeo gives us a little love tap, but thankfully we both made it out without significant damage. I get one more move done on Icy, and after this I just followed Jakarta for a few laps. Now in lap 3, the safety car comes out.
There's been an incident on track, but officials aren't looking to push for a safety car right now. Just be careful.
Does anyone know why every single time a safety car comes out, Mark says that we aren't going to get a safety car? Anyway, I felt like lap 3 was too early to pit, and most other people felt the same. Let's jump to lap 6. We get a decent safety car restart, but nothing special is happening around here. I'm just trying to stick relatively close to Jakarta while he's trying to overtake the ghost car of Jackie, who got disconnected from the race, but he did manage to reconnect later. By lap 9 we both overtook Jackie's ghost, and since I felt that I had a bit more pace than Jakarta, I started to close up behind and try to attack. To my surprise, he actually pulled to the side and let me overtake without too much of a fight. I figured perhaps he wants to use me strategically to try and close the gap to the front runners. I do a little weave to say thanks. In lap 10, another safety car comes out. This time, I thought it was a viable strategy to pit and then extend the second stint to the end of the race.
Check your MFD for a new strategy option.
While the pit stop did send me to the back of the grid, at this point I'm in a pretty good position strategy-wise.
Perfect job from you and the crew there, mate. We're delighted with that. Look after these tyres now. You want to finish the race on this compound.
During the safety car restart, I get very poor traction, and in fact I almost binned it into the wall in a straight line somehow.
Green flag.
Wisburn ahead has disconnected as well, which grants me a free position, and Assassin has a spin, blessing me with another freebie. Dan ahead was very fast this race, definitely had better pace than me, but he seems to be stuck behind Jakarta, which this helped me out at the moment. By lap 14 we're all in a train, and Dan goes for the overtake and completes it successfully. During a moment of hesitation from Jakarta, I tried to go down the inside, but I didn't want to risk damage, so I backed out of it. I get slightly better traction out of the hairpin and get alongside. Once we get to the braking zone, it gets a little sketchy, and I backed out of it. I really didn't feel like ending up in the barriers today. Unfortunately, this battling with Jakarta is costing us a lot of time. Dan already pulled a big gap in this short amount of time. I continue to put pressure onto Jakarta, getting really close to his gearbox a few times. This time, he clearly doesn't want to give up his position so easily. While trying to get closer through the first 2 turns, I lost focus for a moment and gained a warning for track limits. Going into the first long straightaway, I tried to get as good of an exit as I possibly could, which kinda worked. With overtake and slipstream, I managed to close up and do a little dummy to the left and get alongside on the right. Braking very late, I managed to make the move stick around the outside, drifting extra wide to make sure he doesn't crash into me on the inside. He tries to attack, but I block off the inside line successfully. Looks like after that move, he won't be able to attack anymore. At this point, it looked to me like the rain was dying down a bit, so I asked Mark about the weather.
These conditions don't look like they're shifting. We're predicting at least 20 minutes of heavy rainfall. It's hard to say if inters or wets are better right now.
He said that the intermediate tires are around the same pace as the extreme wets at the moment. I thought to myself, if there is another safety car, I'm going to pit and give the inters a shot. Lo and behold, another safety car. So let's do it. At this point, I was thinking I was an absolute genius, and I'll be carving through the field like hot knife through butter. But, well, okay, so it didn't really work out. Coming out the pits, they felt okay, but I just couldn't keep the temperature in them. As they cooled down, they began to feel like I was driving on butter instead of carving through it.
Just so you know, we're getting some strange readings from a couple of the sensors, so I don't think you need to be worried, just some bad data, so keep doing what you're doing. I'll let you know if we notice any genuine problems.
Towards the end of my outlap, it really became clear that this wasn't the way to go. So I switched back to extreme wets and, once more, I'm in the back of the grid. This time, however, I don't even have a strategy advantage. At this point, I wasn't feeling like a genius anymore. The safety car restart went pretty well. I managed to overtake Assassin, even though I almost binned it into the wall again. For the gazillionth time, we are back behind Jakarta again. Once more, I try to get a good exit onto the straight, and as I start to close up behind, not sure what happened, but he drove off the racing line and grazed the barriers. I make the same move I did before, going around the outside. However, this time Jakarta goes for the switchback on the following corner. We go side by side into the next turn, but he backs out of it. Now we have Wisburn ahead, who's also a very fast driver, but he seems to have suffered a disconnect. Let's jump ahead to lap 24 where I catch and overtake his ghost car. Now we have Dan ahead, who's also very fast normally. Jumping ahead to lap 25, we see that he disconnected as well. However, as I'm getting closer, I see that Dan rejoined the session. I knew that it was now or never. I had to get past his ghost car. If he was ahead of me, he would pull a gap, but perhaps if he's behind, I can defend P2. I made sure to overtake the ghost car as soon as possible, and if you watch the mirror, you can see that shortly afterwards, his car is no longer a ghost, and Dan takes control again. Starting from here, the chase was on. These were some very stressful laps, where I tried my best to maintain a gap to him so he couldn't make a move on me. As the laps passed by, I seemed to be able to keep him right around a second away. In the end, Dan never attempted to make a pass. I think it would have been too risky at that point. Corey won the race, and it was a P2 for me. Honestly, I was really satisfied with this result. Not only did I start from the back, but I was also sent back to the grid many times during the race. Sure, I got lucky with the disconnects, but the last few laps were some pretty decent laps to keep Dan behind. Great race, and fair racing by everyone. Oh, and I got driver of the day. Yeehaw! Thanks for watching.